Hear ye, the lineup video is finally here. If I don't sound enthused, I'm not feeling very well today. Okay, so a couple things before we get started today. Spring training's actively going on, which means there are some battles being decided and some guys being sent down. So some of the hopefuls for both the bullpen and the rotation have been sent down. Yesterday, Herschel Waldrop got sent down, and today, this morning, and I'm recording this on a Monday, uh, AJ Smith-Shawver got sent down. Ken Giles and Daysbel Hernandez are both out. So that leads me to believe that more of Tyler Matzett's going to make the bullpen more than we thought. He's dealing with some soreness right now, but it looks like he is gearing up to pitch April. There's one other thing. Oh yeah, Ronaldo Lopez he's winning the fifth spot. It's his to lose at this point. I was really high on Bryce Elder, but he hasn't had the best spring. But then again, he didn't have the best spring last year, and he was pretty good. And I wouldn't put too much stock into it anyway. Really, the only reason that Bryce Elder is getting sent down is because he has options, and the Braves don't want to run a six man. That's literally the only reason. Okay, so let's preview the Braves lineup. The Braves are going to be returning several All Stars to the lineup this year, including Ozzy Albies, Matt Olson, Austin Riley, Sean Murphy, Orlando Arcia, and some dude named Ronald Acuna Jr. I don't know. I've never heard of him before. Of course, the 2023 MVP will be at the top of the lineup. So let's go ahead and start with him. Before I even get into any numbers with Ronald Acuna, we did have a knee injury scare this year. So Ronnie had some soreness in his knee, I would say probably this time last week. And obviously, Saturday last week. And that caused a really big scare in all the Braves camp and all the Braves country because it was Ronnie's surgically repaired right knee. When they did some further imaging, they said it was irritation around the meniscus area. So they flew him on a plane to Los Angeles to get it looked at, which I should emphasize the fact that they flew him on the plane. They were never really super worried about it, but obviously they wanted to get a second look. But the imaging came back from that, the examination came back from that, and everyth's good. Ronnie's good to go. They did shut him down. They are going to wrap him in bubble wrap a little bit. I think he is going to play a few more spring training games, but it won't be until like the last week of March because there's really no reason to. Ronnie, I would assume, is all geared up for the season. He played winter ball, and every single video we see of Ronald Acuna Jr., he's working on a baseball field some way, somehow. So, with that out of the way, let's get into his 2023 season and what we see from him in 2024. In 2023, Ronald Acuna Jr., the reigning MVP, Mr. 4070, hit 337, 416, 596, all with a 1.012 OPS. And again, he had 41 home runs and 73 stolen bases. Just wow. Ronald, I don't think is going to do all that again this year, but I think the power might, give it a bump. And here's why. Ronald Acuna Jr. had 40 home runs, 70 stolen bases, and didn't strike out 100 times last year, and he still underperformed his metrics. Ronald's expected WOBA going into the year was 463, and he only put up a 428. I say only put up because he's capable of more, apparently. A lot of projection methods like Fangraphs and Zips and Steamers, everything you could find on there, they're saying that Ronald isn't going to steal as many bases, but a lot of them are projecting 50 home runs for him. There isn't really too much to be said about Ronald. We all know how good he is. He put the league on notice with how good he was last year. Obviously, the playoffs kind of stunted that, but the entire lineup looked like crap last year. Let's be honest. But we move on. I actually, and let me clarify something. I'm doing the order of the players in the order that I think they are going to be hitting on opening day. So of course, Ronald Acuna Jr. at the 1. And a little bit shocking, I might say to some people, but if you've been paying attention to things around the team, I don't think it's as shocking. It's going to be Money Mike. Michael Harris is having a phenomenal spring. I don't put too much stock into spring training numbers because right now Forrest Wall, I'm pretty sure, is leading the team in basically every stat. But Michael Harris, he's been geared up and ready to go for the season, it looks like, since like February 28th. It's been insane. He has, I think, 3 home runs, and none of them have been cheapies. He's been running well out there. He, of course, is playing a really good brand of defense. That's what we expect from Michael. And the kid from Stockbridge is doing it all, and he just turned 23. Money Mike, I think, is on track for a really good spring, similar to Matt Olson last year, who had a really good spring. He carried it right into the season, and I don't see the Braves trying to douse that momentum he has. So I would say keeping him at the 2 is pretty smart. In 2023, Mike Harris hit 293, 331, and 477 with a .808 OPS and a 114 OPS plus. He also had 18 home runs and 20 stolen bases. He almost hit 2020. Why is everyone so hyped around Michael Harris? Well, he is still underperforming his StatCast metrics, I would say. If he can cut down on just a couple things, and with a full season, he's a 30-30 threat. Mike Harris, the past couple of years, well, first off, in his rookie year, he was a rookie and came up in May. So, but in his second year, he got off to a really slow start, mainly because of injury and just not being able to get back into the rhythm of being a baseball player. Michael Harris was one of the greatest hitters in baseball in the second half, and he was so weighted down by his first half numbers that it didn't look that way. I expect a really good year for Mike. I love watching him play. There's one thing that draws me back to Harris, though. The OBP could be higher. He could take a lot more walks. He's an aggressive hitter, and I think that's just because he's young. But that aggressiveness doesn't necessarily lead to strikeouts. When he's on, he did strike out a lot in the first half. But it doesn't necessarily lead to strikeouts when he's on. It leads to ground balls, and that's the problem with betting him too. I like him in the 2-hole. I think he can really perform in the 2-hole. But the problem is, Ronald Acuna Jr. Is probably going to be on first whenever he's batting. So an immediate twin killing is not the MO. So just loosen up on the ground balls. I mean, look, you can try. You can see what momentum you're riding going into opening day. And I think that right-left breakup, that's what gets to the next batter, will be pretty good. But I teased it just now. The left-handed next batter, it's going to be Matt Olson. I like putting Matt Olson at the 3. I think he likes it a little bit best too. He seems to always perform pretty well when he's put there. And just as the lineup gets deeper, some guys get pushed down. But that top 4, which we'll talk about, can stack up with anybody's top 4 in the league. And I do mean anybody. I would put this against Mookie, Freddie, and Shohei. Some guy named Shohei. Who's that? I never heard of him. I don't even know who would be batting behind Shohei, or if it would be Mookie, Shohei, Freddie. Either way, you know what I mean. I guess it'd be Max Muncy. No, it'd be Will Smith. Never mind. It definitely would be Will Smith. My mistake. I would still put the Braves 4 against their 4 because I think it's so good. For Matt Olson, a 283 average, a 389 OBP, a 604 slugging, which led the team. A 993 OPS and a 162 OPS plus, and to top it all off, the MLB and RBI leader, the home run and RBI leader, and a new franchise record for the Atlanta Braves with 54 home runs. Matt had a monster year, and in any other year where Ronald Acuna Jr. wasn't in his stride and Mookie Betts didn't have an electric playing style every single day, and Freddie Freeman didn't have the name recognition of Freddie Freeman, Matt Olson probably would have won the MVP. I think one of the big tales of the breakout for Matt Olson was his K percentage. He struck out a lot in 2022, and look, I don't blame him. New environment, new coaches, moving across the country back to where you're from, it's a big thing on a guy's shoulders. He got more comfortable in Atlanta, and we saw what a comfortable Matt Olson does, and that is he rakes, he bangs, he pops, whatever, he snap, crackle, rolls, and shakes. I don't care. He did it. I think that's where a lot of the power came from this year, is because he cut that K percentage. He was able to see the zone a lot better. I think a lot of people forget in 2022, halfway through the year, he changed his batting stance. So he was having to deal with that. Seitzer finally got him to move his hands down. So 54 home runs. One of the best first basemen, if not top 2 in MLB. RBI leader last year. Going to be a staple for the next 6 years. I don't really know what else to say about Matt Olson, except he is a dude. And he's better than Freddie Freeman at this point. Next, I'm going to go with a cleanup hitter, and who I think should honestly just be the locked-in cleanup hitter because I don't like him in the 3-hole. There are some stats against that. I know some people go get it. It's Austin Riley. I think Brian Snickers still treats Austin Riley like he's Chipper Jones, so that's why he gets the third spot. He's not Chipper Jones, but Riley is very good in it of his own right, and if you look at the splits, he is much better in the cleanup spot. Riley hit 281 with a 345 on base percentage, 516 slug, 861 OPS, and a 128 OPS plus, all getting up to 37 home runs. I would say this was a down year for Austin Riley, and he was just anointed by MLB. I know that's not the most glorious of praise, but as the top third baseman. Now, I will granted this took a down year for the rest of third basemen across baseball. Jose Ramirez might still have the edge over Austin Riley, maybe. It depends on what you're looking at. And Manny Machado and Nolan Arenado had down years. But those guys are on the opposite end of the aging bell curve to Riley. So I'm not saying that this is the new norm, but I am saying regression's coming. Austin, no, he's still climbing the mountain. He is still firmly in his prime, and we're going to get him in Atlanta for a long time. At the start of the year, he was still riding off of that funk he had in the second half of 2022. He was striking out, rolling out. He just wasn't effective as he should be. But he found it come summertime, became Austin Riley again, and everybody forgot about it. Looking at the StatCast page, I think one of the culprits for Austin Riley last year was his sweet spot percentage. Yeah, he was finding barrels and stuff like that, but if you look at the past couple years, StatCast page, that sweet spot area, it's more red than it's gray. I think that was more maybe a fluky luck thing. Austin was off just a little bit. Something of the nature. I'm not worried about it in the slightest, and neither should you be. And I know it doesn't necessarily matter if Riley is mashing at the plate, but his defense got better. And no, it's not smoke and mirrors. He actually got better on defense, too. His range is getting better. He's able to move across the dirt a lot better. And we know Austin has a cannon, and he's been able to hone that in a lot better. Will Marcell Ozuna be 2023 Marcell Ozuna again? Look, he hit 274, 346, 558 slug, a 905 OPS, and a 138 OPS plus with 40 bombs and 100 RBIs. That's great. But why do I sound pessimistic about it? Well, I think people have forgotten that 2 years previous, Marcell was a bad baseball player. He just was, plain and simple. And this is ignoring all the off-field stuff. I'm not going to get into it in this video because it's really a whole different situation. In 2021 and 2022, granted 2021 he was injured and off the field with issues, but in 2022 there was really no excuse except for, people have kind of swept that under the rug. Marcell's StatCast page has always been funky. Like, he finds the barrel, he hits the ball hard, but it's like he pounds it into the ground. He just can't elevate it, or he's swinging at a fastball up and in. Marcell's a funky player, and I am not going to bank on Marcell Ozuna hitting 40 home runs with 100 RBIs again this year. I'm really not. As much as I would love Marcell to succeed, because it seems like he really has taken a lot of what his issues he's had in stride and tried to make himself a better person out of it. He's had a pretty good spring so far. He seems like he's seeing the ball well. The power isn't there, but spring training. I think he's seeing the ball well, though. I haven't heard anything negative out of camp for him. So I mean, there's that to go off of. But I hope Marcell has it. But I'm also not going to be shocked if he doesn't. Batting sixth for the Atlanta Braves, the switch-hitting second baseman, Ozzie Albies. It's insane how deep this lineup gets. Ozzie for 2023 had a 280 average, a 336 OBP, a 513 slug, 849 OPS, and a 124 OPS plus to go along with 33 home runs. Oh, I'm sorry. I was told that Ozzie Albies was overrated. No, Ozzie Albies is arguably a top 5, if not, he's 6th. He's right there with the elite. Wait, he might be top 5 now because Mookie Betts is moving to shortstop now. So, yeah, Ozzie Albies top 5. Let's go. This was a really good year for Ozzie, and historically he's been very one-sided on the plate. Like, all of his power comes right-handed, but he had a lot of left-handed homers as well. So I think he was just able to find it on both ends, and he was very even from, like I said, from both sides of the plate. I don't have a lot to say about Ozzy because I think he is going to continue to be this staple, but it is on my wish list every year. I write to Santa Claus and I say, "Dear Santa, please tell or make Ozzy Albies not chase the fastball that is never going to be a strike and in fact is in the stratosphere. Please." But it hasn't happened yet, sadly. That is just such a glaring flaw in his game that he chases so much out of the zone. And if he just and it's not like they're close pitches. It's not like they're getting him on snapping breaking balls in the dirt. They're getting him to chase fastballs that are never going to be strikes. I know he's an aggressive hitter. I love that he's an aggressive hitter. But if he can just reel that back a little bit, see that ball a little better, because sometimes the ball goes taller than him, that OBP will go up a little bit. I don't really have much else to say about Ozzy, other than I love him, and he is one of my, depending on the day, favorite players on the team. I love Ozzy. Okay, let's go to the 7th spot. That would be Sean Murphy. It doesn't surprise anyone at what the crux of this Sean Murphy preview is going to be, and that is a tale of two halves. But before we get into that, let's look at the numbers overall. He hit 251, 365, 478 on the slugging, an 844 OPS, and a 125 OPS plus with 21 home runs. Now, that still is good for the upper echelon of catchers in this game, because catchers, it's been very top heavy over the past couple years, and he's still in that big top 3, I would say, maybe top 4, because Will Smith is that guy. I mean, you got Adley, you have JT Realmuto is definitely still up there because he's just so consistent. I know last year was a down year for him, but JT Realmuto is still pretty good. He is on the opposite end of the aging curve, though. But Will Smith is a guy. Like I said, you got Adley Rutschman. Sean Murphy's up there too. But what makes Sean Murphy be hitting 7th, and B, not get the hype that the rest of this lineup may get? Yeah, Sean openly said that one of the reasons he thinks that he slowed down in the second half is because he's never played 162 in Georgia Heat. Came from Oakland. Oakland's a Bay City. It's a little more temperate than it is here in Atlanta. And no matter what happens, it's not going to compare to the humidity of a Georgia August. Yes, I did pull. It's not the heat that gets you, it's the humidity, because it's true. I'm tired of people from other states saying, "Oh, Georgia's not that hot." Or I talk from people from Florida like, "Oh, Georgia, you should feel Florida." Florida gets a breeze. So I hope Sean is able to be a little bit more consistent. I'm not asking for Sean to hit 30 home runs or even 20. I'm fine with 21 home runs from Sean. But I am just wanting a little bit more consistency from him. That's literally it. And the defense plays us. I didn't even mention the defense because it's such a lock-in that he's going to be really good on defense. Okay, let's go to the biggest question mark in this lineup. And we're at the 8th spot, which I think you know what that means. It's Jarred Kelenic time. Let me preface, Jarred has not had a good spring so far. Like I said multiple times throughout this video, I don't put a lot of stock into spring training numbers. I just don't. Unless a guy is out there hitting like 500 with 5 home runs, like my favorite player ever, Forrest Wall, who we'll talk about here in a minute. But Kelenic isn't having the greatest, but here's why I think. He's having to move, different organization for really the second time in his whole career, but he was with the Mets for a short amount of time, so I'm really just going to say he's with a new organization where he's able to play in the majors and get the major league camp status and all this for really the second time in his career. And to be in an A-plus organization like the Braves, I'm not sorry, Seattle, get it together, I think really helps him out. And also, he's been actively working on his stance. He's been hitting the ball pretty well. He's been hitting it hard. It's just one of those things where the law of averages hasn't balanced out for him yet. This is 2023 for Jarred Kelenic, and this is with the fast start included. A 253 average, 327 OBP, 419 slug, a 746 OPS, and a 109 OPS plus with 11 bombs. I think all of baseball, not just Seattle, all of baseball was excited to see Jarred Kelenic break out in the first half of 2023 because this is a guy who was touted as a prospect, like the top guy in 2 different organizations, and he had it figured out at some point. Like I said before, Jared's not having the best spring, but he is hitting the ball hard, and there doesn't seem to be anything alarming coming from the beat writers or anything like that. Hey guys, editor Eric here again. So this section was filmed before the Braves went and signed Adam Duvall. So obviously now the Braves are a little bit alarmed by Jarred Kelenic. They're going to have him platoon with Adam. And even if so, if he is just a platoon guy, really, Adam Duvall is a good guy to platoon with. Duvall has reverse splits. He's a little bit better versus right-handers rather than he is left, and he's going to be the right-handed side of the platoon, which means he faces lefties. But I still think Adam Duvall's up to it. I love Adam Duvall. He seems like a great guy. By all accounts, he is a great guy. And he's also a pretty talented ball player, too. And this also fulfills a need that I wanted the Braves to go after in the offseason, giving the bench a little bit of pop. We'll talk about it later into this video, but up until the point where they signed Adam Duvall, they really were just looking at Luis Guillorme, Forrest Waller, Travis d'Arnaud. So, yeah, I love the signing. I love that he's going to platoon with Jared. And look, Jared, I still have all the hope in the world for him. I still think he can be a very good baseball player. He just needs a little bit, maybe more time to put it together with Atlanta, get into our system, if you will. Okay, bye. The Braves traded for this guy to see if he's a long-term option. And, you know, you have to give him time to prove that. And like I said, they've obviously tweaked with his swing, so maybe that works, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. I'm not worried about spring for Jared. I want him to get to opening day, and I want him to get to Truist. I want him to get into big league atmosphere again and see what the guy can do. He's only 24. I would also like to say there is a universe, there is a chance that this straight up just does not work out for Atlanta. I know we're so used to Alex Anthopoulos coming home with the big fish out of any trade, but there is a real world scenario where Kelenic does not work out and all he is just bench depth, if that. Okay, we're finally at the bottom of the lineup, and that's Orlando Arcia. All-star starter Orlando Arcia, mind you. In 2023, Arcia hit 264, 321 OBP, 420 slug, a 741 OPS, and a 98 OPS plus. All to go along with 17 homers. Arcia, similar to Sean Murphy, did not have the best second half, but in second. This is Lunar Vacation. They're a band out of Atlanta, and they're very good. I would highly recommend them. We're back. Similar to Sean Murphy, Orlando Arcia did not have the best second half. And unfortunately, Orlando's season, I think, is going to be remembered a lot for the playoffs. And first off, let me defend Orlando on both accounts, because I like Orlando Arcia. I think he's a good guy. If there is a world where trash talk does not exist in locker rooms or clubhouses for any major sports team, any major professional sports team, minor leagues, high school, if trash talk doesn't exist there, they are doing it wrong. I am not going to condemn Orlando Arcia for trash talking in the locker room of his own clubhouse in Atlanta, Georgia. I think that whole situation was blown out of proportion by everybody involved. And do the Phillies really have to hang a painting of it up like it's a big moment in their franchise? Hey, this storied franchise, they have one moment in a year where they didn't even go to the World Series. Good job, Philly. And also, yes, Orlando made silly, childish faces to fans in the stands. I get that. The dude is frustrated. The dude's being mocked for the past 3 days of his life by the national media, and now he has to be in Philly, which is a rough atmosphere to play in. I'll give you to that, fans. You do give home field advantage. Give Orlando a break. He acted out of turn. He shouldn't have done that. But come on, man. Is it really enough for like Orlando Arcia needs to be off this team? No, it's not. All that has nothing to do with the baseball player that he is. So let's get back into that. Orlando Arcia, it doesn't matter what he hits. as long as he plays great shortstop, which I would say he did, they're going to play him. They're going to stick him in the 9 spot every game. I think Orlando is going to have another solid year. The defense works, and as long as the hitting can stay stable, I think it's going to work as well. The only thing for Orlando is that he's not the long-term option for the Braves, and I even think Orlando knows this. The Braves don't really have a long-term option waiting. The only one I can really think of, the only one that I genuinely believe could make a difference is Ignacio Alvarez, and I think he is probably days away from getting cut. I mean, he's not going to make the opening day roster. I'm not saying he is, but they have been trying him out at shortstop, and he's a great defender at third. If he can take a little bit of it, and bring it to the shortstop hole while continually hitting at the pace he is, I would be so excited to see Nacho Alvarez in maybe next year or the year after that. Either way, Orlando Arcia is not the long-term option, but if he's good for 2024, then he's good for 2024, and that is good with me. Okay, let's go on to the bench where we got some question marks and some solid players. I think Travis really embraced his role of being a backup last year. I would say he did it pretty well. Obviously, there were. I don't think that that's as good as Travis can get because I'm a big believer in Travis d'Arnaud. But I do think he'll be better this year, and I think one of the reasons he wasn't as effective last year is because the dude got hit with a nasty concussion last year, and he was out for a minute, and I don't think he was really ever right. In 2023, he hit 225, 288, 397, a 685 OPS to go along with 11 homers. I mean, this is a guy who is not 2 years ago was an all-star, but I still think that Travis d'Arnaud is more than capable of doing better than his stats last year. And like I said, I think he was not right after a concussion. I don't think the whole catching situation was right last year post All-Star break. They both seemed like they were stuck in the mud. All right, this is where we get into the weeds a little bit. So the Braves bench spot is it's wide open. It's not filled with names that you like, but it's certainly there. Competing for the spot right now, is Jordan Luplow and Forrest Wall, really. I mean, there's really not any other options, I would say. If those aren't going to make you say, ooh. And Forrest Wall's left-handed, which, I mean, if you want the fourth outfielder, typically you're going to want someone to pair with your weakest outfielder for a platoon, i.e. Jared Kelenic and Jordan Luplow would be a platoon because Luplow is right-handed and crushed lefties. In 2019, it was a while ago, wasn't it?
Hey guys, Editor Eric here again. I completely forgot about the infield, the infielder depth spot, which is between David Fletcher and Luis Guillorme. I'm honestly swinging a little bit more towards Luis Guillorme right now. I think he has a more promising bat than David Fletcher does, and Luis Guillorme can really play anywhere. I think a little bit of outfield as well. They might try to do what they did with David Fletcher earlier in this offseason, try to get him and DFA him, get him through waivers, see if anyone picks him up, because I haven't looked around the league extensively, but I would assume somewhere there is a middle infielder injury. So teams are going to be looking for depth in that aspect, or there's a suspected injury. Something they're looking for depth, and David Fletcher is depth that they can pick up. If Fletcher makes the opening day roster, that's fine. If Luis Guillorme makes the opening day roster, that's fine. Both are solid options that are really just going to be called upon to play defense. So, I mean, I think it'd be really most, who are you more comfortable with playing shortstop? And I think David Fletcher's probably the best shortstop out of the two of them. Because I think Guillorme's more of a second base, first base kind of guy. He can play a little bit of third as well. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else. But if you see me again later, that means I goofed again. But if I don't, enjoy the rest of the video.
But that's going to wrap us up for the lineup preview and review of the 2023 into the 2024 season. Thank you guys for watching. I know that this series of videos took a long time to get out, and that's because they take a long time to edit. Hopefully I'll be back to kind of lower bite-sized videos that are like 10 minutes long rather than these nearly 20-minute long videos. I mean, if you like the 20-minute long, just let me know and I'll find something to yap about. I speak Japanese. But again, that's going to do it for this video. If you want to follow me on socials, they're right here. I'm most active on Instagram. That is my social. I am not as active on TikTok anymore as I used to be. It might be getting banned from what I hear. I don't know. I don't really care. If it is banned, you have me over here. And if you are from TikTok, part of the original group to get me following and get me to where I am, thank you for watching. And I'm going to use Twitter X whenever baseball season rolls around. Just really busy right now. We are in the month of just pain and suffering for college students because we got midterms and this and that and the other. I'm not even on spring break yet because I have to work. I'm not even there yet. Anyway, again, thank you guys for watching. Let me know in the comments if you like this style of video, if you wanted me to swap back to the shorter ones, or if you did like the video, tell me what you liked about it. Again, that's going to do it for us. And as always, have a good one.